All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling a massive topic, one that affects pretty much all of us, our growing relationship with artificial intelligence. And it's a relationship that's evolving so fast, it's hard to keep up, and it's making us ask some pretty tough questions. And that really boils down to the big question for today. Are we using AI as a tool to make us better, smarter, and faster? Or are we slowly, maybe without even realizing it, just handing over the whole act of thinking? It's a huge question, and we're going to really unpack it.
So let's get right into it. Is AI a tool, or is it becoming a crutch? We all know it can be this incredible booster for productivity, but there's a kind of hidden trade-off that comes with all that convenience, and that's what we need to dig into.
So here's the fundamental tension. On the one hand, you've got the promise, right? Saving time, automating all that boring, repetitive work. But on the other hand, you have this risk that we're outsourcing the very skills we're supposed to be building ourselves, like critical thinking. The real issue isn't the tech itself, it's how we decide to use it. And this really gets to the heart of the problem, a concept some researchers are calling outsourcing the mind. So let's take a closer look at what this idea of AI dependency actually means. So what exactly is AI dependency? Look, it's not just about getting a little help from AI. It's about over-reliance. It's when we start using it as a substitute for the hard work of thinking. That's the subtle but really important shift, from AI supporting our thinking to replacing it.
Does any of this sound familiar? Maybe you're asking AI to write an email before you've even figured out what you want to say. Or maybe you grab an AI summary of an article instead of actually reading it. It's just the path of least resistance. And for a lot of us, it's becoming a real habit.
And look, this isn't just some vague feeling we all have. It's actually a phenomenon that's backed up by cognitive science. The research gives us a really solid framework for understanding what's going on inside our own heads. First up, we've got this idea of cognitive offloading. And honestly, this is a totally natural human thing to do. We've always used tools, right? From notebooks to calendars, just to free up some mental space. The big difference now is that AI supercharges this impulse, making it easier than ever to offload not just memory, but really complex reasoning. And that brings us right to the next concept, digital amnesia, which you might know as the Google effect. The research is pretty clear. We are way less likely to remember something if we know we can just look it up later. Our brains basically say, hey, why should I bother memorizing this when an AI has my back? And man, one study really sums this up perfectly. When we use technology mainly to avoid putting in the effort, sure, we might get faster, but we lose depth. We get the answer in a split second, but we miss out on the understanding that comes from actually wrestling with the problem. Okay, so what are we actually losing when we lean on AI too much? Let's break down some of the specific risks that come with this kind of over-reliance. Well, the risks are pretty significant. First and foremost, a big one is that our critical thinking skills can take a hit. We just stop questioning things when the answers are handed to us. Then you've got a loss of originality because our ideas start to get flattened by AI's patterns. After that comes skill atrophy, over-trusting answers that might be flawed, and, ultimately just having a more shallow understanding of the world. So it all comes down to this one simple question you can ask yourself. Am I using this to support my thinking, or am I using it to avoid thinking altogether? That's really the dividing line between a tool and a crutch. Okay, enough with the doom and gloom, right? The good news is we are in the driver's seat here. We have control. So let's pivot and talk about solutions, some really practical strategies for using AI wisely so you can keep your mental edge. So here's a little toolkit for a more balanced way forward. First off, think first, prompt second. Actually come up with your own rough ideas before you go to the AI. Second, make time for deep work. Actually read the full article sometimes. Third, always verify what the AI gives you because it can be wrong. Fourth, set some AI-free zones for yourself. And finally, protect your own unique voice. Always edit the AI's output to make it sound like you. All right, let's bring this all together with the most important takeaways. The goal here isn't to ditch AI. Of course not. It's about building a future where we are human-led and AI-assisted. It's about putting your mind first. So just remember these key things. That convenience AI offers, it's its greatest strength, but it's also its biggest trap. Using it too much can weaken the very skills that make you unique. The best way forward is always human-led, AI-assisted. And probably the most important thing you can do is to always do that first deep layer of thinking all by yourself.
And I want to leave you with this final thought. The real danger isn't that AI is going to think for us one time. The danger is that we slowly get into the habit of letting it think for us all the time, until one day we just stop thinking for ourselves at all. That's a future we can definitely avoid, but only if we stay mindful.